I've been playing Fire Emblem on and off since the DS era. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of the series, I've really only played a handful of titles, but there's one thing that I've grown to appreciate more as I've gotten older. It's a mechanic so unique to Fire Emblem that it feels weird to me that Intelligent Systems has added an option to completely ignore it. I'm of course talking about the series staple of permadeath. I'm Ouroboros. Let's talk. Like I said, I'm surprised the devs have added a casual option to their games. I mean, I get wanting to appeal to a wide variety of people and not scare off potential buyers, but permadeath feels like such an important part of the formula to me. There's also mechanics like the Divine Pulse from Three Houses that are essentially casual mode but with a different coat of paint. But even going back further, people have been resetting their saves for decades when one of their favorite characters dies. It could be due to an unlucky crit, an unexpected reinforcement, or because you're just bad at the game. It doesn't really matter, but people have been playing on casual for a long time now. I'll admit, I've definitely done this before, especially when I was really learning the ins and outs of the series. However, as I've grown accustomed to the mechanics of the games, I find myself really enjoying Ironman runs. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Ironmans are basically just Nuzlockes. If a unit dies, they're dead. Gone forever, no resets, no divine pulses, no takesy backsies. You can optionally add a rule that you have to restart the entire game on a game over, but that's completely your call. Essentially, an Ironman is how FE was always intended to be played. Permadeath has been in this series since the very first game, but has grown to be less of an integral part of the experience as the games have become more mainstream. Regardless, I find myself enjoying these types of runs for a few reasons. The first is that I feel my decisions are far more important when I can't just reset when I lose a character. There's no save scumming my way through a fight, there's no abusing save states on the Switch Online titles. I am solely responsible for every single moment of combat the game throws at me. And I feel that this is the way most of the games are designed. Fire Emblem has always been a series reliant on asymmetric gameplay, i.e., one side is stronger than the other. So unless you're one of the psychos playing on one of the absurd difficulty levels like Lunatic or Maddening, the majority of your units are going to be significantly stronger than a majority of the enemy units. That's just the way the maps play out. You typically can deploy around 10 to 15 units once you have enough of them, and the enemy usually has around 20 to 30. Your units can tear through the enemy if played correctly, but that's the key part. If you play correctly. Whenever I describe Fire Emblem to someone who hasn't played it, I like to say that it's fantasy chess on steroids. And chess is probably the most high-skill, low-luck game out there. Your ability to effectively navigate the challenges presented to you are directly proportional to your outcomes. It's not like Mario Kart, where you can be winning the whole race and then get hit with the shock into blue shells into whatever other bullshit is coming at you, and oh no, you went from 1st to 16th in 2 seconds. FE doesn't work like that. Sure, you have to deal with enemy crits, but for the most part, it's entirely up to your skill as a commander. You are in charge of your army, and much like a real general, one wrong move means the death of someone you have potentially grown attached to. Those stakes are what make each map feel so engaging to me. If I didn't have to worry about these fun characters dying, I would just play recklessly. Not only that, Intelligent Systems would have to drastically rework the difficulty of the entire game. There'd be no challenge. You would just sit your lord over in the corner so that they wouldn't die and mow through the enemy with reckless abandon. It makes it feel like an actual tactics game, as opposed to something like a Dynasty Warriors game. It's that realism that makes this series so unique. I feel like every form of media is really reluctant to kill off any character, barring villains, and I don't know, the main character's wife or dog within the first 10 minutes. And that makes me really question the stakes. It feels like our heroes are invincible all the time. Unfortunately, that has the consequence of losing any sense of tension. I'm rarely worried because you just know that the hero is going to find a way out of every situation they're in. In Fire Emblem, however, the permadeath mechanic completely alleviates this entire issue. You're never sure if your units are safe. You're never sure if you're going to see that next goofy support conversation. You're never sure because there's an overwhelming sense of lethality to every fight. And because you get so attached to your units, you care deeply for their survival. It's the reason why a show like Squid Game is so compelling. Nobody is safe. Everybody is a potential victim. It doesn't matter how much you like a character. It doesn't matter how thoroughly developed they are. Hell, it doesn't even matter if it's the last episode or last level, they can die. This is exactly what you want out of a tactics game. You want to think over your decisions. You want to carefully calculate all of your moves and the enemy's reactions. You want to second guess yourself. It's all about tension and release. You can't have that cathartic sense of triumph over a level if you were never in any real danger to begin with. I also find that even when I lose units, it's okay. It's a learning experience. There's a weapon from way back in the Destiny 1 days called the Doctrine of Passing. Its flavor text reads, "Death is the best teacher." Obviously, FE has lower stakes than the real world, but it holds true here. Whenever I overextend and lose a unit, or ultimately fail when banking on an 80% hit, I learn my lesson to never do that again, because all it takes is one slip-up. As the mechanics from each game change, so does my knowledge, and those failures become a good lesson for future battles. And so, even in death, I'm growing as a player. Not only are my units leveling up, but so am I. That makes it infinitely more rewarding as the leader of an army. All of this adds to the overwhelming sense of realism to the games. I know it's odd to say that about a medieval fantasy game, about moving troops on a grid one at a time in a game of you hit me, I hit you, but that's the sense I get when I play Fire Emblem. I am directly responsible for the safety and well-being of my troops during each conflict. I find it odd that doing an Ironman is considered to be a challenge run in the community. Here, you have the core and even iconic game mechanic that defined the series for decades slowly devolved into a hardcore rule set. To me, it has become such an integral part of the experience that it's hard to divorce the two. I feel that it consistently keeps the stakes and tension high throughout each map and adds to the realism of the gameplay. I always have to keep a watchful eye on every minute detail, but that makes it so enjoyable to me. I know the series has moved away from this identity over the years, but I think everyone should Ironman their Fire Emblem games. Thanks for watching.